Hello and welcome. I'm Sanjay Pinto. Spare the rod or land in jail. That was a stern message from the Supreme Court 11 years ago. But even today, across the country, in our cities and in our smaller towns, not a day passes without some case of corporal punishment. You don't see these stories on TV news channels or read about them in the papers every day because 90% of the cases go unreported. Today, the life of a young boy in Viluppuram was cut short as his teacher slapped him. The incident sparked protests from the students, but as is always the case, when the protests die down, the issue is forgotten. When will fear stop being the guiding factor in our education system? When will we discipline teachers, at least those who need to be? And when will we address basic issues like the teacher-student ratio or classroom management? On the big question tonight, we have a battery of experts. Sailendra Babu, Inspector General of Police North Zone, under whose jurisdiction today's incident took place. Henry Tiffin, Founder, Executive Director of People's Watch. Annie Mohan, Principal of Vidyodaya School. And joining us shortly would be Anu George, who is the Legal Director of the International Justice Mission. We'll get cracking on that discussion in a few minutes from now after the top stories with Evelyn Matthew. Evelyn?
Thanks very much indeed. These are the headlines we're tracking at 9 this evening. A second-year polytechnic student in Viluppuram dies after being allegedly hit by his professor. Police also suggest that the boy had a history of epilepsy. A huge relief for Kalanidhi Maran in the Sun Pictures case. He will not have to appear before the Chennai police tomorrow as a compromise has been reached. Months after the poll debacle, the PMK pulls out of the DMK alliance, says it's willing to float a new alliance for the upcoming local body polls. The Bangalore High Court orders a notice to Special Public Prosecutor in the disproportionate assets case against Amma. Income tax officials from the city interrogate A. Raja for his involvement in the 2G Spectrum scam. The team visits him at the Tihar jail. In a turnaround in the uniform syllabus case, the state government's counsel admits in the Supreme Court that the amendment to the law was unnecessary. As the wait for textbooks continue, the DMK prepares to protest on Friday for the immediate implementation of the syllabus. NDTV-HINDU does a reality check of the Government Employment Exchange website. Errors and a flawed backup team mar this.com. A special story on village unsung heroes, the referees who take up the profession only for the passion. And the countdown has begun for the NDTV Hindu Lifestyle Awards. Who will take home the coveted Swarovski-studded cash? Let's also take you through some of the rest of the day's top stories. Karnataka's Lokayukta report on illegal mining strongly indicts Chief Minister B.S. Yediyurappa and his family, recommends their prosecution. An NDTV exclusive, Yediyurappa's most powerful backers, the Lingayat Mutts, now slam him. After A. Raja, it's now his close associate, ex-Telecom Secretary Siddharth Behura's turn to fight for bail in the 2G case. A stark reminder of unemployment in the country. PhDs and MBAs apply for peons' jobs at a university in Rajasthan. New partying rules in Pune, police say, take permission, submit invitees list and then put up security cameras. A US court gives bail to Pakistan lobbyist Ghulam Nabi Fai. He will be under house arrest. And India's injured pace bowler Zaheer Khan could miss the second test versus England too, but who will replace him? Our top story: in a huge relief for Kalanidhi Maran in the Sun Pictures case, he need not appear before the Chennai police tomorrow. The Madras High Court has quashed the proceedings against Sun Pictures COO in 2 cheating cases. The complainants have told the court that they have arrived at a compromise. Mr. Kalanidhi Maran was in fact summoned regarding cases of cheating and intimidation filed by film producers against Sun Pictures COO Hansraj Saxena, who's currently behind bars. Moving on to some political news. Months after the electoral debacle, the PMK has pulled out of the DMK-led alliance in Tamil Nadu. The party with the mango symbol may now float a new alliance for local body polls in the state. Disillusioned after recent poll defeat, remember the PMK had won just 3 out of 30 seats it contested in the April 13th assembly polls. Moving on to some fresh developments in the disproportionate assets case against Jayalalitha, the Bangalore High Court has ordered a notice to the Special Public Prosecutor. This is in light of DMK's Anbaragan, who had challenged the Vigilance Department's decision to conduct further investigation in the case. Anbaragan had alleged that there was an attempt to destroy evidence. As for now, the special court posted the hearing of the two applications filed by Chief Minister J. Jayalalitha seeking exemption from personal appearance and that she be allowed to make a written submission in the disproportionate assets case against her to the 1st of August. During the hearing, the second accused, Shashikala, Ms. Jayalalitha's close aide, and fourth accused, Ilavarasi, were present. The other application by Amma to permit her to depose through video conference will come up for arguments on Monday. Now, the Income Tax Department today interrogated former Telecom Minister A. Raja, who is currently in judicial custody for his alleged involvement in the 2G spectrum allocation case. The IT team reached the Patiala House Court premises this afternoon and questioned the DMK leader. Raja was quizzed regarding his family income, and the IT department officials also got permission from a Delhi court to interrogate 6 of the accused, including Raja, Swan Telecom's director Vinod Goenka, its promoter Shahid Usman Balwa, and 3 Reliance Group officials in judicial custody. Their interrogation would continue till the 29th of July. Now, the Tamil Nadu government seems to be rather confused about where it stands in the uniform syllabus case. At the Supreme Court today, in a turnaround of sorts, the state government's council admitted that the amendment to the law on the uniform system of school education was unnecessary and that it was the personal stand on the case alone by the council. In fact, the Tamil Nadu's in the government's council also candidly admitted that the state government had landed itself in unnecessary trouble on the issue. The newly formed Jayalalitha government brought the amendment for postponing the implementation of uniform system of education by a year. The Supreme Court wanted to know the reasons for bringing the amendment when Madras High Court in a 2010 judgment said that the system can be implemented this year or the next after complying with certain directions. Meanwhile, the DMK is not sitting quiet. The party is ready to take to the streets on the 29th of July on the immediate implementation of the syllabus. They have asked the students and teachers as well to join in support. The DMK has accused the AIA-DMK government of being instrumental in scrapping the system. Now, come September, and Ranganathan Street in T Nagar may stop being the shopper's paradise that it is now, as the CMDA or the Chennai Metropolitan Development Authority plans to follow the Madras High Court's demolition orders on shops that violate the building norms and permits and skirt issues such as fire security and safety as well. Now, all of these shops have been given the deadline of September end to reply to the notice. No building permit from the Chennai Metropolitan Development Authority. No NOC from the Fire and Rescue Services Department. Not adhering to the rules and regulations stipulated for a special building. Yes, this is the status report on almost all the shops at the Ranganathan Street, and many of them face the real threat of being shut down if shops do not reply to notices sent by the CMDA. According to a senior CMDA official, I quote, "In the meeting held this month, we have decided to send notices to all the buildings which do not have the building norms laid by the CMDA. An approximate deadline set by us is September end. If the concerned building owners fail to reply by the given deadline, we might have to seal all those buildings." Unquote. Here are the names of some of the shops and the norms being violated by them.
Everything has been happening without permits, without license. It's been going on like that for how many number of years I do not know.
Civic officials say the rules are very clear for regular and special buildings as well.
The new buildings that are being built, we are very strict. We have already issued hundreds of notices to the violators. With regard to the old buildings, we will wait for the decision from the government. Whatever government orders, we will simply implement that.
Shop owners refused to comment on camera, but conceded that norms are being violated. One of the building owners say, and I quote, "Yes, it's very common on the street, but even the government decides to take the action only when they receive complaints from people."
Ranganathan Street, one of the busiest roads in Chennai, where more than 3,000 shops do their business every day. For the scary part is, hardly any of the shops follow basic fire safety norms. And if we believe to the fire safety department, if any day fire takes place during the rush hour, it's going to be very difficult to bring the situation under control.
As far as the T-Nagar are concerned, 90% of the shops are violated one. Public, very without any inch of place, they are moving, crowd will be there. But our police outposts all will be there. They have addressing system, so they evacuate the people. But negotiating such a mass is not easy one.
And not just shops, even some hotels violate, like the Taj Kamar, which had got the license for a restaurant, but is running a fully fledged lodge without proper license. In Chennai with Sudarshan, Evelyn Matthew for NDTV Hindu. Up ahead on the news tonight, the men who grabbed headlines for robbing CCTV cameras along with their beauty product loot have been identified. More